Hi, I'm Audrey Huynh, and you're watching the Permanent Ring Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I'm happy to be joined by Audrey Huynh. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you for asking. Happy New Year's. I hope you had a really nice holiday.
Yeah, it was fun. We went up to the mountains and kind of just spent the new year away from home. So, yeah,
And you have younger siblings or siblings as well, right?
I do. Yeah, I have three younger siblings. They're amazing.
It must be fun like around the holidays, just spending time with family, things like that.
Definitely. And my dad's family is like huge. So, anytime there's a family event, it's like massive. There's so many people, but love spending time with my family.
That's exactly what the holidays are for. So, a little bit of hopefully some rest before a big year for you, both with music and with acting. So, before we get into EXO Kitty season two, which I'm so thrilled to speak about with you, what can you share about your background in the arts and what sparked that passion in you to pursue this as a career?
Yeah, I've kind of always known that I wanted to be a performer in like some capacity. I used to do like theater when I was younger, and then kind of into middle school and high school, I still did theater. And then started taking up music, but acting has kind of always been a passion of mine and just always something that I've wanted to do. So it's really cool that I'm here now, you know?
Definitely. Like, who were some early inspirations for you that you looked up to on screen, in theater?
Um, Really just anyone kind of on Disney Channel. I was like very much a Disney Channel kid. Watching like Austin and Ally and like Liv and Maddie was a big one for me. I loved Steph Cameron. Um, just kind of like that generation of TV was such like a formative time for me. I feel like that really just kind of got me into the acting mode.
So, part of like the Descendants era, that kind of Disney Channel time.
Definitely. Yeah.
Those movies were incredible. Like the set decoration, the songs, I'm sure, are very catchy to you. And I've also read that you were obsessed with Pitch Perfect, Hunger Games, Twilight. So I had to ask about that because it's so relatable. Tell me about your love for those franchises. This is just a time you kind of needed to escape.
Yeah, I love all of those movies. Yeah, Pitch Perfect is literally like one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just like so hilarious. And honestly, it made me want to join a cappella in college, which I did. I'm in an a cappella group and it feels so Pitch Perfect. It's amazing. Um, yeah, and Twilight, it's such a good movie. It's anyone who says that they don't like that movie, you're lying. It's such a good movie. I love watching it with my sister. But yeah, those are just pieces of my movie lore that I love. So
And you mentioned a cappella, you're part of Chapman Soundcheck. So clearly
I
having like
am
those Bella moments now in college. And with Twilight, were you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
always Team Edward. I literally have a Bella and Edward shirt that I wear to bed almost every night. Like,
a,
yeah,
a little nostalgia for you, but it's always nice to kind of think back at, movies that were kind of so impactful for you, whether they were your preferences or they were inspiring to you in some way. And Chapman, of course, that's where you study music currently. What is the most important lesson you've taken from your studies so far into your career as a professional musician?
wow. I was only there for a semester and a half before I had to leave to film Exo but it was seriously like the best year of my life. It was so much fun. I made so many like lifelong friends that I'm just so close with. Like my best friend is from Chapman and I met her first semester and we're so close. It taught me a lot about myself as a human being and kind of just who I am and who I wanted to be. And all of my professors in like the music industry, because I'm there for music. And just all of them were so like good at what they do. And you can tell that they're passionate about what they do and that like really just like got me thinking about what I was passionate about and where I wanted to be in life. So it wasn't really anything that I learned like from a book, but it was more just stuff that I learned about myself and being like in that environment.
That's so great when you can kind of, take these life lessons from your professors and how they kind of conduct themselves. And you mentioned being passionate. You have such a lovely voice. You play piano. I think my favorite cover of yours that I found was Gray by Why Don't We, which is such an underrated song. I feel like
It
not a lot of
is.
people know it, but such an amazing song. And you've done covers of like Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodrigo, and those have been very well received on YouTube. So what's it been like kind of receiving response from your covers online?
It's kind of crazy because music for me was always like personal and I posted things like just for myself. And then a couple of them like blew up here and there and I was kind of like shocked that people actually wanted to listen to my voice. Like it was just a weird concept for me. But yeah, I feel like music has always just been so personal to me and kind of hearing people say that they're fans of my music and fans of stuff that I put out into the world, is really, really special.
How would you describe your current sound and your songwriting process?
I've been writing songs for a very long time, and I like looking back at my old music because it's definitely like evolved over time. But I feel like now it's definitely kind of indie singer-songwriter, kind of into indie rock, if maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I love just writing in general. I write so many songs like every day, and it's just like a form of therapy for me at this point. I feel like anytime I have to like feel something, I just have to write a song about it. So
How do you record your thoughts and ideas on an everyday basis? Like, do you have a journal? Do you use like the notes app on your phone, voice notes?
it's kind of a combination of all three. I have like a diary that I write in at night, as any teenage girl would, but I kind of take some stuff from there and I maybe turn it into a song. But a lot of it is like on my notes app. I'll just randomly be like driving and like I'll start a voice note of just something that came into my brain, like as I was doing other things. So, but yeah, a lot of my unreleased songs just live in my phone. So.
Well, hopefully they'll see the light of day once you can maybe workshop it a little. And you mentioned kind of indie pop, indie rock. I mean, you also have a bit of like a theater Broadway range. You've done a recital performance from Beetlejuice the musical. So tell me about that aspect, and does that play into your original music at all?
Yeah, I am a classically trained musician and have a huge background in theater. I did theater all through middle school, all through high school. So much fun. It's such a fun like world kind of being on stage. But yeah, I did do that recital showcase. I was with my old voice lesson company, which was so much fun. And then I've been in a couple like high school theater productions with my school, but I don't really do it anymore, and I really want to. It's such a fun aspect of my life that I don't really get to explore anymore, but it's definitely had an impact.
What can you share about your upcoming original music and debut EP?
Yeah, I have so many fun things planned for this EP. There's another song coming out very soon, and then the whole EP is dropping next month, and I'm so excited for people to listen to it. It's been such like a passion project. It's like my little baby. It's like I've been working on it for months now and just writing songs for a really long time. It's just like a collection of my life right now. And yeah, I'm very excited. The songs turned out so much better than I ever could have imagined, and it's such a fun project that I'm really excited to put out.
Who did you work with on the EP, like in terms of, producing and everything on the technical side?
Yeah, I have a producer. His name is Treehouse. He's amazing. I love him so much. He's so talented and so good at what he does. And he produced all the songs on my EP. I wrote them all in college, kind of just as I was dealing with a lot of things, and that's kind of where all the songs were born. But yeah, it was really just us two. And then I have a drummer who's playing on a couple of songs, and he's so talented. He's so amazing.
I really like Apartment Complex, so I hope that finds its way onto the EP. If not, it's a single that's
Definitely.
currently out. And you've also teased some new music. You performed one on kind of like a talk program. I think it was called Miss It Too. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking that one's in the pipeline. And you also filmed a music video in September. So what can you share about that?
Yeah, so You Miss It Too is a little baby of mine again, and that one's also going to be on the EP, which also has a music video. So that one is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. I had a bunch of friends from school help me with the music video. My dear friend Sierra Brogmus is my director. She is so talented, and just everyone that was attached to that project was insane. It was literally one of the most fun experiences that I've ever had on a set before. It was so insane. But yeah, it's turning out so amazing, and I'm really excited for people to see it.
Because it's one thing to act like in a TV show and a movie, things like that, but to be in your kind of own music video is like something new in itself, whole new experience. So I'm glad to know you got to do it with friends and you've had some live performances as well over the past couple of years. So how special have these shows been and being able to get that live feedback from audiences?
I love playing live. I think it is such a fun way to just share music and connect with people. I got to play so many live shows last year, and I'm so grateful. Um, yeah, it was so much fun. A lot of them was a lot of like family and friends that ended up coming out, but um, it's so cool just like performing those songs for people and seeing them just react to my music. But yeah, I love playing live. I'm hoping to get to play more shows this year as well.
Hopefully an EP release show would be on your radar for
That would be so
sometime
cool.
next month. Yeah. We'll get into Exo Kitty now, where you star as Esther Shim, aka Stella Cho. What can you share about your audition process and what drew you to this project?
Yeah, I it was kind of an interesting audition process. It kind of started out just like any other audition where I got an audition and then a callback and then producer session and then did a chem read with Anna and Sang. But it was all like virtual. So I honestly didn't meet any of the cast until I landed in Korea, which was crazy. But I remember taking all of the like Zoom calls like in my dorm at school. So I was like kicking my roommates out and I was like, hey guys, I had to have a phone call. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, and I was like recording my self tapes like in between classes. Like it was crazy. But yeah, and she was just such a fun character. And I didn't know much about her going into booking the role. They really didn't tell me much, but as I kind of got into like preparation for filming, it was crazy just to see all the plans that they had for her. So
Do you remember what was on that initial like casting call or character description? Like what kind of bare bones did they give you that made you say, "Oh, this is really interesting. I'd like to explore it further."
it was literally like a two-sentence character description. All it said was like Stella is a small town church girl from like Ohio and she has a big secret, and that's literally all it was. But yeah, I was always a fan of Exo Kitty, so just getting the casting call for Exo Kitty was insane and definitely made me want to kind of pursue it. So
Did you watch like To All the Boys I've Loved Before when it came out? And oh, so you watched
I
like Exo
did.
Kitty season one, and I'm sure like it was crazy to get that audition and be like, okay, like to be a part of something Netflix related, like this would be insane.
Yeah, I have always been a huge fan of the movies. Like To All the Boys is such a comfort movie. I literally watched it like last weekend. Like it it was so it, like oh, I just love that movie so much. And then watching Exo Kitty and being a fan of that show, kind of transitioning into getting the audition for season two, that was so surreal. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of this whole franchise.
And then of course with Noah being on set as well and having that little cameo.
Yeah, that was so cool. I'm so excited that he's in it. Like
Yeah, it's a nice little throwback to those original movies. Tell me a bit more about Esther and her background. Like, were there elements of her life that you discussed with others or created yourself that we don't see on screen, but really helped shape and inform her?
Yeah, I had no idea that the whole Esther slash Stella thing was gonna happen. But as it started to kind of progress and build, I started kind of splitting her up into different like sections. I had like three different highlighter colors that I would highlight my script with, just depending on who I was playing and which scene. And it was so interesting to like break her down in that way and kind of like take into account her like background and like her motives and all that kind of stuff, but then also her now and her at Kiss and making all these new friends and having a new boyfriend and like all that kind of stuff. So it was really interesting to just really talk with the writers and sit down and break her down to like a science. And because she's just such a complex character, she was so beautifully written. And just having the chance to like bring that character to life was so special to me.
That's so interesting how you use highlighters. So you said like three different colors. So one was kind of like Esther, one was Stella. What was the third one? Was it like an
The third
in-between?
one, yeah, it was like Stella trying to like hide the fact that she was Esther, like that kind of transition color.
It must have been so unique to kind of have these different sides and facets and layers to her, which we kind of get to chip away at. Was there anything you thought about with respect to her childhood, being homeschooled, and you know, the role that church played in her life?
Yeah, just kind of building on who she was and like kind of exploring her background like that really helped me in like figuring out how she would carry herself and like how she would say things and how she would react to things. Like her church homeschool background definitely made me think she was very like innocent, very like straight posture, like she was smiling a lot, like that kind of thing. So just breaking it down in that sense was very helpful when I was really trying to just get to like the nitpicky parts of her character.
With respect to being from Pepper Pike, which is mentioned many times, it's such a, and it is a real place in Ohio. Like, do you think that her family did have some wealth or some amount of income?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. Like she has like a suitcase in the show and it's just this like ratty old like briefcase looking thing. It's like square. She shoved all of her belongings in it. I don't know how, but yeah. I, I feel like maybe not. I don't know.
I think I was just thinking about the nose job that she got and thinking like there needed to be some kind of money involved with that. But before we get into that transformation, like for you, what were those main personality traits and qualities that you wanted to play into with this character?
I really wanted to make her like a full human being. I wanted her to have like dynamics and be like a fully rounded character. Um, and kind of being able to work on her background and work on all of the stuff that we were talking about before really helped kind of make her a full-fledged like character, if that makes sense. And it definitely got down to the point of really just like getting into character and like really like imagining myself as Stella and just kind of all the aspects that that would cover. But yeah, she's so complex, and I really wanted that to come through on screen. So
And when we meet her, I mean, she's so kind of chatty and curious, which I loved, like that upbeat kind of personality that, you know, later begins to crack. But she did stand up for Mino against his father in episode 2. They shared that kiss that kind of kickstarted their romantic relationship. So tell me about that scene as Stella, and then for you preparing for it.
yeah, that was the first time I'd ever done any kind of intimacy on screen, but it was such a comfortable environment. We had an intimacy coordinator, they were great, and just the whole like dynamic of the scene was very comfortable and very just easy to go into, which I'm so, so grateful for. And Sang Heon's such an amazing scene partner. He's so talented. I adore him. He's great. But yeah, and it was kind of a crazy scene just to read because it just comes straight in the beginning of the season. So it's kind of just right out of the gate setting that up. But yeah, I had no idea that Stella would be involved with, when I first got the role. And I was reading it and I was like, oh, that's crazy. But yeah, I feel like that's definitely kind of one of the more genuine times we see her. It's one of the times where she's a little bit more herself, I feel like. A little bit less of her like Esther facade that she puts on. So
For sure, and I really love that scene and how like confident and powerful like she kind of felt to stand up for what was right in that situation. And I love that you said you had no idea that you would kind of be romantically involved, with this character because you did kind of meet, was it Anna, and you said sang on early on, but I'm sure at that point you're just like, oh, I might be a friend in their group and something like that, not something like this love triangle. But Stella's behavior, it starts to become suspicious. Later on, her real emotions become harder to hide, like at Mr. Moon's dinner in episode 6, where she very clearly was not a fan of Moonleaks not doing its job. But tell me about her facade breaking and what she thinks Kitty knows or is onto.
she was very good at hiding her stuff. I feel like if it took them that long to figure it out, she was definitely very good at it. So that was really fun. But kind of just playing each of the different moments where you see her start to crack and you see her facade start to break down a little was so much fun. I got to like really pick apart every single moment. And that scene with her like spitting the water out onto the table was like so funny. That was like unscripted. I was supposed to just choke, but then they were like, why don't you just spit the water? Like just try that. So that was really cool. But it was a lot of just small movements and a lot of like kind of creepy, unsuspecting type acting. But it was so cool just to kind of really dive into her and into the script and figure out all of those places where she would crack and where she would kind of feel uncomfortable with what people were saying and where she did know something, but she didn't want other people to know that she knew that kind of thing. So, yeah.
I thought facially you did such an excellent job because it's like these little kind of things that like her face twitches and you can kind of see that okay, there's something more there. But like you said, a lot of the characters couldn't exactly figure out what. And it took a while, but Kitty, of course, is the one who discovered that Stella is Esther, whose looks were rejected by Mr. Moon at a past talent competition. So tell me about that moment for Esther and how it really changed and affected her.
Yeah, so she auditioned for his talent show thing and was rejected because he didn't think she had the look of a superstar, which is unfortunately true. I feel like it definitely has happened before, but I think she was 12 when that happened to her, which would completely brutalize any 12-year-old if you were called ugly. But yeah. So then she kind of creates this whole revenge story around it and moves to Kiss to get revenge on Mr. Moon. So yeah, but filming that scene was crazy. I had a prosthetic nose to kind of foreshadow the whole nose job thing, but that was insane. I had to get fitted for like a prosthetic and then was in hair and makeup for a while just getting it put on my face. It was so crazy. But yeah, it was such like an interesting couple of days of shooting that. So
And for someone who's supposed to be like 12 years old, like just imagining, what she went through and all that online ridicule is something that, like you mentioned, it is devastating for someone so young. So you mentioned being 12. How old is she supposed to be when we meet her?
I think 17, I think they're juniors in high school. So
Do you
yeah,
think her revenge plan was brewing for the past like 5 years, or did she take a little because she
for
would have
sure.
been okay. So ever since that
Yeah.
moment, she was like, "This is not right." So what do you think that revenge plan involved?
I think if it had been successful, she would have, I guess, destroyed his empire and really just kind of destroyed him as a celebrity. I feel like that was definitely her end goal, but did get foiled, so didn't end up happening.
Do you think she had any help or was it purely a solo job? Because I mean, she needed the tech skills obviously to do moon leagues. Like I'm sure that there was some kind of protection there to protect her identity. She got into Kiss
Yeah.
as Kitty's roommate. Like she did a lot, all while her parents were like disapproving. They were concerned about her.
Yeah, I feel like it was definitely all on her own. She has a lot of revenge and a lot of ambition. I feel like she definitely could have pulled it off just being her.
For sure. And she does get caught by Mino at the cherry blossom ball, but she reels him in at the prospect of leaking new family secrets. So, what do you remember from that specific scene and from Esther's perspective, finally revealing her motives to someone?
That was kind of the one moment that we had just built up to the entire season, just like finally seeing all of it fall apart for her facade, like and really seeing like the true her. And that was such a fun scene to do as an actor because you had built up this entire foundation of who this character was and then just like switch it up like completely. So that was a really, really fun scene. Like personally, that was honestly one of the most memorable scenes that I filmed. Um, but yeah, just kind of seeing her entire plan come to life and her saying like, yeah, everything I've planned all of this. Like this was all stuff that I had set up for this exact moment. It was really cool and it was such a fun like transition from reading it in the script to really coming and filming it on the day. So yeah, that one was definitely one of my favorite scenes.
I spoke with Joshua last week, and he was talking about you coming out with that backdrop and at that scene at that kind of bar, and he said that was a very memorable moment. So how was that for you? Because I mean, you're looking forward at the rest of the cast in the room, but having that kind of fire background was very fitting for what was happening.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that they were putting fire behind me until I watched it back, and I was like, "Whoa, it's crazy, it's crazy." But yeah, no, that was so much fun, and that was the first day too that I had that I was filming with my new haircut because they had cut my hair really, really short for her like transition scene because she's supposed to kind of just be this whole new person and everything. But yeah, that one was really cool.
Tell me about her new look and wardrobe. Like, how fun was it to work with the creative team on it? And did you get any input into Stella going to Esther?
Yeah, that was crazy. Because her outfits before her transition were very like put together and like very church girl. Like you can tell she was like trying to keep up that like innocent facade. But her outfits afterwards were so cool, and it's honestly something that I would wear. Like I was trying on all the outfits, and I was like, I love this. But yeah, we worked a lot together, like the wardrobe department, hair and makeup, like all of that, like down to my nails. Like literally, just every single piece of my wardrobe had to be completely different than what it was before. And I definitely did have a say in a lot of kind of where we were going with it, just from a character standpoint and from an actor standpoint. But yeah, that was really, really cool to like put together for real. So
And it's always nice when it's a big collaborative process and you could see that energy shift. So I'm glad that, hair, makeup, wardrobe was able to help you along with that. And soon after, her plan is foiled at the talent showcase. So, what emotions is she feeling? Like all she worked for the past 5 years for not, as first of all, Juno tells the world about becoming a father, and then it ends with Mr. Moon actually apologizing to Esther for his past words.
yeah, I feel like she would definitely have been devastated. Like it was just everything that she was working for just down the drain. But at the same time, she definitely didn't have good intentions. So I feel like either way, it wouldn't have turned out well. Um, but the apology was definitely, I think, a big thing for her and kind of just hearing it and kind of getting to have that for herself and for her younger self that went through all of that trauma. Um, I definitely feel like that was a huge moment for her. Just character wise, it kind of like shifted her mindset, I think. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel like that was a hard thing to watch for her.
Well, it was acted so well, but like you mentioned, it was like a little bit of closure for Esther. And then as she exits, she does admit that her feelings for Mino were genuine as their relationship progressed. So, what did she like about him, and how was he different than what she expected?
I definitely don't think she's ever had a boyfriend. I don't think she's ever been romantically involved in anything before so I feel like that was definitely hard for her to let go. But as she was at Kiss, I think she definitely built some genuine bonds. Like she cared about these people a lot, and um, it was definitely like a thing of being conflicted between like going through with the plan or actually caring about these people because she very much did, like especially Minnow and that whole relationship. So that was, yeah, I feel like definitely a huge thing that was going on, like as internal conflict for her. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there was definitely a like caringness from him that she liked and she wanted to keep going. And I feel like in the relationship she was genuine when it wasn't about his dad. But yeah.
I think that's so accurate because when it came to his dad, I mean, maybe she expected him to be more like his dad, for example. So that's something that surprised her, but she definitely was very nosy, rummaging around the ski cabin, for example. What do you think awaits her back in Pepper Pike?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like her parents are gonna be really mad. Yeah, I feel like that's not gonna be good. Everything at home is just not gonna be good for her. Um, yeah, ooh, that'll be interesting.
I was gonna say like legal issues for all that she did, but
Maybe.
what's interesting about her parents is she does, receive that phone call or messages from them. So how much of her plan do you think they knew about?
I don't think they knew about a lot of it. I think she definitely kept it a secret from as many people as she could. Um, but yeah, I feel like her parents were definitely worried and could kind of sniff out that something was happening, as I feel like all parents know what's going on. But yeah, I definitely don't think that they knew about a lot of it. So
Is there anything you would like to explore further with this character?
I feel like, yeah, yes, there's so much more that I would love to do with her. I think that seeing her afterwards and kind of seeing her feel remorse and kind of apologize to everybody and see her just as a normal human being without a revenge plan brewing in the back of her brain. I feel like that would be really interesting to explore. Um, and then just kind of to explore her relationship with a lot of the characters. I feel like she really only had a relationship with Mino and Kitty, and I feel like seeing her interact with a couple more characters would be really cool.
With all that like weight off her shoulders if she can finally let that go. I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to see the real Esther back in the future. Like you mentioned, she definitely had a good heart when she was younger before it kind of got tainted by that moment. But I'm really excited for everyone to see your performance in this kind of duo role in season 2. Now, the show itself is peppered with K-drama imagery and moments. So, what can you say about these elements and being inspired by a genre that has been so popular and celebrated?
I am a huge fan of K-dramas, so being able to kind of be in this type of show was so cool. And just all of the aspects of Korean culture that they put into this show was really interesting, just as someone who is Korean and grew up with a lot of it. But yeah, it was really interesting. It was really fun to see it all come together afterwards too.
What are some of your favorite K-dramas?
Oh, I've seen a lot. Um, I honestly don't know. I feel like right now, definitely Squid Games. That was such a good one, and I was such a huge fan of season one. Um, yeah, I like binge season two like so quickly. So yeah, definitely that one right now.
That's a really good option and giving, Netflix some love as well. I'm not sure if you've watched like Extraordinary Attorney Woo, I think that one. That one
I
was
have.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was really good. I know there's just like so many good ones. I feel like I honestly can't pick one that's just like my favorite.
And they have so many episodes too. So it's like there's always going to be something to
Yeah.
watch. But I thought it was this season in particular, like really had a lot of also Kitty exploring her heritage, which was nice to see those moments. You worked closely, like you mentioned, with Sang Heon Lee as Mino. So what was it like working with him as a romantic interest and having him as a scene partner? Like, did the two of you discuss your characters' relationships at all, or did you kind of just let it play out on screen?
We definitely kind of just let it be organic. And he's so talented and he's such an amazing actor and he was able to do so much with Mino's character, which allowed me to do a lot more with Stella. And it was very much like a trusting environment. We both knew we were good with our characters, so we knew kind of that we could experiment a little bit more on screen. So that was really cool. And yeah, just him being a good person. He was so easy to get along with and so easy to do scenes with. So the whole experience was just very comfortable and very good with him. So
How about with the rest of the cast? Like, did you have any nerves coming in, joining an established show for season two?
I was so nervous like before meeting everyone because I mean they had already built this whole universe with season one and I was kind of just walking in and just being like, hi, I'm new. But they were so welcoming and they made the transition just so easy and smooth. Yeah, and we're all just very close now. So I'm very grateful that I was able to walk into a cast that was so welcoming.
And you didn't get to do it alone. You also had Joshua and Sasha with you. So it must have been maybe easier for the three of you to kind of come in together and be the new kids.
Definitely. And I love Josh and Sasha so much. Like we always like joke around that like Josh is like my older brother. Like he's literally just I love him so much. Yeah, and the three of us really got to bond with being new characters and all, and then kind of just us going into the returning cast. Like everyone is just so close now.
What is your favorite memory or two from filming, whether it was on set, behind the scenes, or just spending time together in Seoul?
We honestly, we were all in the same hotel, so we all just spent every single second together. Like even not on set, we would literally leave work and just go get dinner or like go out and just hang out, like all that kind of stuff. So there wasn't really ever a dull moment where we were not with each other. I think one of my favorite memories though was we went to this rail park, which was really random, but we went to this like rail park that had this like train, and then we went through like these tunnels. We were like biking on everything. I don't know, it's so hard to describe, but it was such a fun day. We all just got to hang out together. And then we ended up ziplining to an island, which was insane. But it was so much fun just kind of getting to bond with them. And it was towards the end of filming, so we all already had a really close relationship. And kind of just that last little hurrah before we all left to go back home was really, really special.
You also went to a baseball game, is that correct?
Hmm. Yeah, that one was also so fun. It was the crew also came along for that day, so it was like a huge bonding thing with just so many people from Exo Kitty just at the baseball game. It was so fun. I don't like baseball. I don't watch baseball. I'm not a sports person, but it was so much fun just to get to be there with everybody. So.
And I also saw lots of photo booth pics. You went to a dog cafe too.
Yeah, I love photo booths. Like physical photos are just such like a thing for me. And there's photo booths everywhere in Korea. So we would always just go hop into a photo booth before we went to dinner, like before we went out, like as we were coming back home, like all that kind of stuff. So it was fun.
Had you been to Korea previously before you went to film Exo Kitty?
Yeah, I went when I was like 11 or 12 with my mom and my grandparents to go visit family, and we were in a different like area of Korea. But just the two experiences were just so like vastly different from each other. Um, but it was really cool just kind of being able to go back and as I was older and being able to appreciate more of my culture and all that kind of stuff. So that was really fun. But I had been to Korea before.
You always see it through like a different lens, especially, when you're older, you've had more life experiences. What can you say about your experiences as an Asian American artist? Like, how have your mixed cultures and heritage impacted your identity and career?
I I think it is so important to be represented on screen and just being able to be in a show like XO Kitty that has a very Asian cast and there's just so many Asian people on screen. It's so special. I always grew up kind of not seeing anyone on screen who looked like me. Um, and just being able to kind of be in a generation and be in a world where I am able to be on screen and I'm able to portray authentic Asian characters is so, so deeply special. And I love being Asian. I'm so connected to all parts of my culture. And yeah, it's definitely a huge part of who I am, just as a person and as an actor. So.
I believe you were at the Unforgettable Gala with the rest of the XO Kitty cast in December. So, what's it like to be at a big event like that and really celebrate the AAPI entertainment community in, a gala like this? And was it your first time as well?
It was so cool. It was literally just such a surreal experience, just walking in and seeing so many people that I had grown up watching. Like Aquafina was there and like Stephanie Shu. Like there was just so many people that I personally love that's in the AAPI community. And just all of us being in one ginormous room was insane. And yeah, and then being there with the cast as well, like it was also just so special to share that with them. But yeah, this was my first gala. I had kind of been following the gala for like years before, so being able to be there was just so insane.
Well, hopefully not your last gala as well. Yeah, that was so fun to kind of see those pictures. And, they always say, I forgot what they call it. It's like the Asian version of like Oscars and things like that, these big events that just celebrate the community. Something very cool is you also train in archery and mixed martial arts. So, what do you enjoy about these sports, and are you hoping to use these skills in future projects?
Yeah, those were always kind of hobbies of mine when I was younger. Um I was a huge fan of Hunger Games and I convinced my dad to get me a bow and arrow and take me to like an archery range when I was younger and it kind of just kept going from there. It's definitely something that I really enjoy doing as just a hobby. And I've been training in martial arts for a couple years, not really as much now, but I definitely do want to really get back into it because it's just so much fun. And yeah, I mean, I'm a huge superhero person, so being able to use those in like a superhero movie or like that kind of thing, would be really, really cool. So.
What kind of movies do you look towards when you think about like superheroes and being inspired by that genre?
I'm a huge Marvel fan. I have been watching Marvel forever, and my dad is a huge fan of the comics. So we would read those when I was younger, and that kind of just built my foundation with superheroes. So definitely that like Marvel genre of superheroes. Like that's so cool.
That would be so amazing. And I mean, they have had a lot of female-led, female characters in the MCU, especially as of late. So fingers crossed for a role like that in the future. I have one more question for you. This is our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
I don't know. I feel like Rocky Road would be kind of fun. Like with all those like different things like sprinkled in. I feel like that's very, very me. Also my favorite flavor. So yeah, I think definitely that.
I like that answer. And definitely love like chocolatey kind of fudge, different textures going on. So I think that's such a nice way to end things off. Thank you so much, Audrey, for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Of course, well, hopefully we can catch up again in the future. But until then, for all those watching, you can catch Audrey in XO Kitty. Season 2 is out on Netflix January 16th. New music coming soon as well. And we will see you next time.